Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of T&D&D, where today I'm joined by the lovely Laura.
Hello, I'm actually back again. I can say that this time because I've not been here for a while.
That's true. You had a cold at one point, so I had to do this alone.
Yeah.
According to commenters, I did an okay job at it, I guess.
Yeah.
So thank God. Apparently, me not talking to people helps me keep me on track more. Weirdly.
Well, I mean,
instead of me just... Because you cut out my tangents in all the videos. I have a lot of tangents.
oh, sorry, my bad. I'll just leave, you know.
Yeah, you gotta go. I can't do these. Nah, but what I'm saying is someone else is in the room, I generally try and just say a bunch of random bullshit, because I don't know. But oh well, here we are. We have a topic that I think you might actually be somewhat enlightened on in comparison to some others that I've sat you through and you've been very confused about.
Yeah.
How to roleplay.
This one, at least.
How to roleplay, how to do it for the first time, how to keep it going, how as a DM you can perhaps encourage your players to do it more, etc., etc. I find a lot of people have a big struggle with this sort of thing. Laura, you definitely did at the start.
Yeah, 100%.
Because you just kind of walked into a game store and there were a bunch of people like talking in character and you were like, ugh.
Yeah, I think when you first come into it, especially if you don't really know much about the game, which was exactly what I was when I came into it, because Christopher was just really interested in D&D, so I was like, cool, I'll come. And I didn't quite understand how I had to roleplay and how to do it. So when I came in, I was definitely just like, what in the hell have I got myself into?
Yeah, and your DM, me, was doing all these fucking weird voices. Like, what was with that?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I was like, what the actual hell? Like, what's going on? I was like, what's Christopher signed me up for here? I just wanted to play a cool little druid and fight stuff. I wasn't expecting
It ain't
to
all
be
fighting.
like... Yeah, I was not expecting to do anything like role-playing in the slightest. But
Yeah, and
I mean...
you kind of... Session 2, I think you realised that was a thing and then went wild with it, which is fun.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So, I think the first thing that we need to cover is a common misconception. Role-playing is not doing a big voice. It is not, like, doing massive character stuff that, like, deeply integrates into your backstory. Role-playing is simply thinking, what would my character do, and doing it. And that can be as small as asking for a discount from the shopkeeper to wanting to save the world because of their moral compass, let's say. And yeah, I think you came into your own with that a little bit as you got along, Laura, especially with recent characters. Patch being a great example.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, with my first two characters, I felt like, for me personally, I didn't quite understand them. But I think with Patch, I understand him a lot more than I did my first two characters, and therefore role-playing as Patch is easier for me that way.
It's kind of easy to think, I don't know, what would an 11-year-old kid do who's kind of smart for their age? Dude has no bad stats.
Yeah. He's pretty decent.
He has, like, decent, like, his intelligence is higher than the average adult.
Yeah.
I don't know, I think that's just fun.
Yeah, playing Patch is easier for me because I feel like I understand him and his motives and all that stuff.
Plus, you can play more relaxed, because that's kind of how you like to play. You're more of a chill player in comparison to some others who are on this grand quest to delve into their entire character's backstory. I think, Laura, you wouldn't really care. I've given you what you wanted, like, a few sessions ago.
Yeah.
Patch got his eyes back, which is cool, but at what cost? Ooh.
Yeah, none of us know that yet, but...
But yeah, role-playing doesn't have to be doing a voice. It can just be thinking of character decisions. that was something that I myself had actually managed to do pretty well in my first time playing and DMing and stuff like that, because I am a trained actor, so I kind of know how to embody a character and think about what would they do in this situation. It can be very hard for people who haven't really dipped their toes in that medium to jump in and start thinking about character goals and motivation. And that's why there is a decent chunk of a character sheet dedicated to personality traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws, which is a great idea. A lot of character sheets don't do that nowadays, but like D&D has an entire section dedicated to who you are and what you as a character have motivations for. Have you filled that out when doing any of your characters before?
I'm not gonna lie, no.
No?
No, I haven't. I mean, like I say, with my first two characters, I didn't understand them in my own head, so I wouldn't understand how to write that on paper. But I feel like if I tried to do it with Patch now, it'd be alright.
Oh yeah, you could think of a bunch of stuff, and it would all be really simple. Like, I am very easily won over, and I want my eyes back. But that's changed now. What does Patch want now?
I'll have to come back to you on that, because I haven't actually thought about that.
That's something to think about. Maybe he's just a kid who's following his dwarf dad just 'cause.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. You could think of something else along the way. Perhaps learning what the heck is the consequence for getting your eyes back and adapting and stuff like that. Your next mission could perhaps be learning how to fight with it. So that could be fun. But yeah, I personally do try and fill out that section. I put a minimum of one thing in each section: personality traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws. Because even me, I've made a lot of characters. I've played a lot of characters. I have done naturalism plays where I've spent months researching every little bit of one character that I'm going to play and dedicating my entire fucking existence to knowing how to play them. And still, writing down one-line sentences about my characters really helps. So,
I just want to point
instance,
out really quickly that you don't have to go as mad as Jake has with writing down all these things for your characters. Because, Jake takes it over the top sometimes with how much shit he writes about his characters.
Well,
like, you've had like
not recently
pages on a Google Docs file for your character and like who they are, and then have your character die immediately in my campaign.
I like to kind of think of a lot of components about my character. More recently, I've realised that none of that stuff is necessary. I've made up a lot of stuff. But yeah, decent examples. I play a character at the moment, the only character that I'm really playing. His name's Orson, and he has a brother in Ryan who plays Hamish, and it's a very fun dynamic because both of us in our bonds section I have a rival who I need to prove I'm better than. So instantly, that is a million hours of roleplay decisions right there, put on a piece of paper that will most definitely be explored, and they have been. We've constantly like tried to lord our superiority over each other and convince everyone else in the party that we're the cooler guy, and that's created an interesting dynamic. I also put for a personality trait that due to my dwarven upbringing, I am generally very touchy-feely, and I will smack people on the back of their heads for a laugh, and I'll push them around just because it's fun. And that's certainly been annoying for my 11 strength brother to deal with when I constantly just accidentally slam him to the floor, etc., etc. But yeah, even in 2 sessions, we have had a lot of roleplay because of those little sentences that I've put down that I have taken into consideration.
Yeah.
I think I remember you actually writing some down for Patch, Laura.
Did I? I might have.
Yeah,
done.
but
I can't remember.
Not on a character sheet, on the Google Docs that you were using.
Oh yeah, I might have done, but I can't remember what I wrote down.
I mean, that's not really important now because all the characters that you guys play on Sunday have pretty much became innate at this point, I imagine. You've played 24 sessions with them. You kind of know how
Yeah.
how they work.
Well, if they didn't know how the character works by now, I'd be a little bit concerned.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Something else with like making a character and considering their roleplay elements is that is bound to change. An example is Ryan's character on Sunday, Benmus, who originally his motives were to impress his dad and become the best adventurer, and perhaps even find out who messed with his backstory and stuff, because he still has a few questions around about that. And he was generally chaotic good when he first was planning the character. He, despite wanting to please his dad, is also genuinely doing stuff because his dad raised him to believe that good is good and you should save the world, etc., etc., because that's what his dad did.
Yeah.
That has changed in the last few sessions, because we slowly realise that Benmus's behaviour is that of a sociopath. A very selfish person who wants nothing more than to just be entertained and have people love him. And that's kind of what he's morphed into. Benmus is now, I think, chaotic neutral, because of the way that kind of Ryan slowly discovered that he is playing a sociopath. And that has certainly changed a lot of roleplay elements, but it hasn't felt forced in any way. It's just changed the way that Ryan views his character, etc., etc., and that your character's going to change, and you're going to realise that you're not playing the guy you were earlier. A lot of them will change throughout the course of the campaign due to party members. Just last session, and I planned this, I planned for this to happen, is that our big 9-foot Goliath Valdor got his money stolen, and someone ran off with it, and without even seeing them, his first response was to stab them. And I had written in beforehand that it was a kid. I didn't make that up afterwards. I proved it to everyone by showing them my notes. And Valdor stabbed a kid and killed them instantly because they were basically a level 1 rogue, if that. So... and I mean, he's managed to hide that from the group. Yeah. That's going to come back and bite him in the arse at some point. He's going to feel impacted by it slightly. Anyone would, except like a chaotic evil bastard. And Baldur isn't that. He's just a dick.
Yeah.
But yeah, things in game can change your character. Things have definitely happened with that with Patch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like what?
Oh, jeez.
You're here to talk too, Laura.
Look, I've had a few weeks off. I'm forgetting how this thing works.
You're rusty.
Yeah. How has Patch changed? I mean, for me, it's hard to like see the change because obviously I'm playing Patch every week and he's slowly changing as he goes along. He's definitely
any key
more
moments
of an
you can think of
now.
Well, that's what happens when you're a drunken master monk, I guess.
Yes.
Just kind of comes with it.
Yeah, at the beginning he was more sort of like naive and only really trusted Benmus, but now he sort of like trusts more of the party than he did before, and he's less naive but still kind of naive. Yeah, I think
I have a
Patch
few
had,
for you.
like... Oh, go ahead then. Go ahead.
One, Patch didn't swear at the start of the campaign.
Oh yeah, he didn't, did he?
But because of his loudmouth dwarvish father figure, he has slowly turned to swearing a lot and calling everyone bitches.
Bad influence, Benmus.
Definitely. Just gets Patch drinks all the time. Not good. Not good at all.
Yeah.
Thank God Shalaris is there now, just basically trying to stay near Patch at all times and keep him away from the bad influence. A couple other things. Patch is also kind of very violent in comparison to the start. Dude, frickin'... I imagine the tipping point with that was finding the person who took Patch's eyes away.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So that made Patch a little mad, and then I don't know, Patch just didn't stop being a little weirdo freak. You had an encounter with Drow the last time. The last encounter was with Drow, and what was Patch doing during that?
Chopping their ears off, and
he was going right for the ears,
punching them. Yeah.
because that seemed to work on the last drow he had a fight with. So
Yep.
in the fight, Patch was basically, I kind of described that you were going for the ears and you couldn't really like stab them, so you were more just grabbing and like just tearing them off.
Yeah.
So that's a little brutal for an 11-year-old, don't you think?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's sort of like a culmination of all of the environments he's surrounded by, I suppose.
Yeah, because he's so easily influenced, and therefore that means that he has changed a lot. He was a pretty blank slate when you first made him, in all honesty.
Yeah. Yeah, he's had a lot of growth since the first game.
Yeah. And growth doesn't have to be complex. Patch has just changed because things have happened and he has adapted.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. And that can be the exact same for your character. You don't have to think about that one time that another character said something insulting to yours, and now your entire backstory has molded you into a heartless killer. You don't need to think that hard. Just think, oh, I guess everyone around me is kind of a piece of shit and I'm a really good person. I'm probably going to have to be roped into their piece of shit acts a lot. Oh no. And then slowly, your character might get used to it. So definitely think about the implications. Role-playing, once you properly get into it, I don't think is hard.
Yeah, I agree.
The main thing that I think got you into it, Laura, was because there were a bunch of other people around the table role-playing.
Yeah. I think if I'd have been stuck with a group that didn't really roleplay much and just was like, yeah, my character does this, or yeah, my character does that. My character walks over to this person and finds out and asks if they have this. Whereas if with the group that we have, especially Ryan was heavily role-playing when we started in the game store. He was like saying, because he didn't have a voice at this point for his character Voka, but he was like, okay, and then he was like, Voka's going to walk up to here, and then he would like chat to the NPC or to the other player character in his character, so he was pretending to be his character. And I think that sort of influence around the table from everyone sort of, it felt like a comfortable environment for me to be able to sort of like do the exact same thing, because otherwise if I was like, Edwin's gonna go here, Edwin's gonna go and find out this, I roll to find out this, or you know, whatever, rather than pretending to actually be Edwin, it's, you know, it helped me feel more comfortable and be able to find it easier than, you know, say for example if I tried to do that and it was just me at the table trying to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
I think online it's easier for me as well because I feel less intimidated. So if anyone's like me and gets intimidated by like groups of people and like actually talking to people in person when you don't really know them, such as a game store, perhaps try online. That could be easier, but then again, you know, not everyone's like me, so you may like being online, you may not. Just a suggestion.
I would honestly prefer to be playing in person all the time. I'm very different to that.
Yeah.
I think in general the game is more effective when I can look people in the eyes. And I think generally, so I ran Icewind Dale and the first few sessions were in person because the game store was open, and as long as we bought food or a drink we were allowed to be there because of kind of like the restaurant rules since it had a restaurant. And basically it was a lot more effective in my opinion when I was playing an awful hag that I got to stare right in the face of all the players and like do this weird old lady deranged voice and call them all little boy and like slobber everywhere. Like I'd occasionally even go like and like look them in the eye, and I felt like it was more effective because they could see me doing everything. Now you guys only really have my voice, and granted I could put my camera on as well, but it lags a fuckload, so...
I mean, everyone has different preferences. You know, depending on like who you are as a person. Some people may prefer in person and some people may prefer online, but whichever's easiest to start learning how to role play. Perhaps you could do both if you feel so fit, and figure it out from there. See what works best for other people. But yeah, everyone's different, so you don't have to do online, and you don't have to play in person. Just choose which works for you, and if you decide that one's better for you than the other, then just go with that. But yeah, we're off topic here. We're supposed to be talking about role playing, not what kind of game.
I have a point to bring up about role playing. Do you think the fact that people around the table were explaining their actions as their character was helping?
Give me an example of what you mean.
So, for instance, let's use one of our role players who was playing an Aasimar worshipper of a deity who was, deity of harvest and stuff like that. They sent a bad guy off to go and farm because god of harvest.
Yep.
That's an example. And they explained themselves after about that and just stuff like that. Do you think that helped at all?
In what sense? For me to roleplay, or for me to understand their character, or what do you mean?
Generally for you to roleplay, just hearing other people explain why their character would do things. I think it might. So if someone, for instance, in character or out of it, mentions that well, I'm doing this because it's my deity's way, or I'm doing this because I was raised like this.
Then yeah, I think that helps, because if they're thinking like their character, then it sort of I don't know, subconsciously you do that yourself as you go along. So I think other people that are more experienced at the table or online, doing stuff like that and explaining why, if they haven't said why as talking as their character, out of character saying, well, my character would do this because this, and this, would help other people, in my personal opinion, because, then they can think, oh, okay, what would my character have done in that situation? And then it sort of opens up another thing in your head to sort of be like, okay, well, if their character did that, well, what would my character do? Well, I'm, sort of evil, so maybe I wouldn't have done that, or, etc., etc. So I think that helps.
A decent example would be session before last in the game where I am playing Orson. We're running Dungeon of the Mad Mage, and we were being accosted by a group of very bad actors pretending to be vampires, asking for a toll to pass through their section of the dungeon or whatever. I was going to talk to them for a while and try and, with my good dexterity, swap out our gold pouches, because I only had 8 gold at the time, and I could have nicked whatever they had, and they would have been like, thank you for the money, all right, move along. In the middle of doing that, another character decided to stab one of the vampire actors, and that initiated a very sudden combat. That was both miscommunication from the players and also 2 different character motivations playing off each other. Orson is lawful good and does not want to kill unless he has to, especially has a thing against killing humanoids because he believes they can be changed. This other character is chaotic neutral, and in their mind they were being mugged, so therefore they took the initiative. That caused a lot of conflict with the 2 of us and resulted in my very angry soldier guy saying that she put us all in detriment. And that made me so them doing that action made me think, right, what the hell is Orson thinking at this precise moment? Because he was about to pull something cool off, or at least try to. And also I considered that I was, they had a circle formation around us. They were all in a doorway, and I was right in the middle of all of them. And I was also considering that in his soldier brain, that was a very bad tactical move. Yeah. So both of those elements played into my response, which was, as an angry soldier guy, screaming at them. But yeah, little things about that. Definitely get yourself thinking about when a character does an action that morally it feels like they would have done. Think about how your character would feel about it, whether it would be if you actually want to act on that and respond, or maybe you don't. Maybe you just think, my character doesn't really agree with that, but they're not really confrontational, so I'll kind of leave that alone. Little elements like that can sprinkle it in. So when I don't know, other characters do something, are you thinking about how Patch would feel about it?
Well, depending on what's happening and whether Patch is like right near the situation, whether Patch is like completely away from the situation, like the Valdor situation, Patch was nowhere near that, so I wasn't thinking about, oh, what would Patch think in this precise moment, because Patch wouldn't know, because he was being a scout, and he was up ahead, not really realising that Valdor was stabbing a child. So, in that situation, no, I didn't think about what Patch would do. But if Patch was like directly in like somewhere, say for example, if Patch was there when I think it was Valdor and was it Rem, and they were trying to like fight some people in a pub. Am I right there?
I'm not
or is
sure.
It no,
I think
Valdor
it was,
and Gaius, I think it was.
I think it was Gaius and Benmus. They went to like
Was
a
it?
really sketchy tavern in
Yeah.
Cheersalt. Is that what you're on about?
Yes, that is what I'm on about. Yeah.
Cheersalt,
So
little pirate town, and they went into the very bad hooligan pirate bar.
yes, that's what I'm thinking about. So if Patch was, see, for that situation, because it's fun, I was thinking about what would Patch do if he was actually there. He would have probably been fighting alongside them, because Patch just basically follows Benmus and does most of the things that Benmus does. But other situations, you know, it really depends on the situation as to whether I'm thinking like what Patch is doing about different things.
Okay.
But Patch has like very simple like morals and stuff, like doesn't kill anyone innocent.
Yeah.
Follows what Benmus does most of the time. So if Benmus isn't doing something, Patch probably shouldn't do it. Just stuff like that, really.
So here's a question that might help your mind and other people's minds as well get jogging. The party have long ago gone away from Waterdeep Dragon Heist, but while they were in Waterdeep, they were having a lot of tussles with their villain Jarlaxle, who is a drow, and was the one who put the order on blinding Patch.
Yes.
So
That dude.
the reason is vague. The only real thing that they've given is that they had to keep him quiet and maybe hope that he'd forget. And it worked,
Yeah.
because Patch did forget.
Yeah.
And recently, the party had been, primarily due to blackmail, but they had been helping Jarlaxle and now have like a verbal contract to, when they get back to Waterdeep, go on a hunt for the Stone of Galore. If it was up to Patch, what would he have said?
To Jarlaxle.
If Jarlaxle was saying solely to Patch alone, you're the leader, you make the decision, you gonna follow my orders, or are we gonna have a problem?
Patch probably would have been like, oh, fuck you, and stabbed him.
Yep.
And then immediately died straight after. But that's what Patch would have done, so... Because Patch has a burning hatred for this dude. And all drow pretty much now, after knowing that a drow blinded him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Patch would have just been straight up pissed off and wanted to stab him one, but would have consequently died. So...
That would have been a decision that Patch would have made, but he didn't. And that was because he has an entire party of other people who weren't doing it.
Yeah. Like I say, Patch has very simple things that he does. If Benmus isn't doing anything, Patch isn't doing anything either.
And thank God Benmus is kind of smart.
Yeah. Otherwise
thank
Patch would have
goodness.
straight up died.
Yeah, Jarlaxle's very powerful. I don't know, maybe you guys could take him at this point. He does a lot of damage, he can fuck you all up, but he's kind of like just a rogue, and he doesn't have that many hit points. So that can be how you take him down. But nevertheless, that definitely made you think a little bit more about what's my stance on drow and stuff like that. So, you don't have to be constantly thinking every moment of the game, what will my character do? Sometimes you want to do something this is fun because you want to do it.
Yeah.
A good example with that, I think, is Rob, where the one common theme in every single one of his characters is, I want fucking money, because Rob wants money.
Yep.
Rob wants the cool shit. He wants to buy all the cool shit. So in our Sunday game, Valdor keeps every single item from anything that he kills if he can, pretty much, if Rob remembers. In Eberron, when we played that, Rob's character was looking to hire out blacksmiths and start a part-time business there while we weren't adventuring, etc., etc. His character in Dungeon of the Mad Mage is the guy who searches the corpses after they're dead and picks up all their stuff and tries to keep it. But that's just Rob playing Rob. James makes very interesting characters. He makes a lot of different ones. A common theme is that they're all melee, because he really likes hitting things in the face a lot.
Yeah.
And even if his character wouldn't inherently act that way, like Erolith, his wizard, he decided anyway, it's fun, I'm gonna go up to them and swing my greatsword, because why the fuck not? I want to do it.
That was pretty funny, to be fair.
Yeah, don't let like roleplay overtake you in terms of what your actions are, because D&D is ultimately about having fun. And if you feel like, sure, you're playing a character that you like, but like they wouldn't do this probably, how do I spin it so that they would, so that I can do it, because I want to do the thing.
Yeah, there's also, I want to add, some situations in which not role-playing exactly as what your character would do is smarter than role-playing exactly what your character would do, as me and my dad have experience by absolutely pissing off Jake and deciding that, by the way, we were both barbarians. We decided we wanted to take on these guards because they'd imprisoned us, and Jake basically was like, are you actually kidding me? Please don't. And we ended up letting in, but it would be something our characters would do, but it wasn't fun for anyone. So in that case, if your character would do something that's not really going to be that fun for everybody else, even if maybe you want to do it, you've got to think some things like that, like trying to kill a bunch of people that your DM hasn't planned for and your party is not going along with, and you just want to do it because you just want to kill people for the sake of it. You've got to think like there are other people in this game. It's not just you and your character doing exactly what they would do. Sometimes you've got to use your brain yourself and be like, right, this is going to be shit if I do this, maybe not.
Yeah, that situation wasn't just very tiresome for me, but also James was doing an extra thing where he'd managed to get past the guards and was just walking up and talking to one of them and stuff like that, and that kind of got interrupted. And then also Ryan's character was trying to get to them after being plane shifted, and he got to like watch the chaos unfold without being able to stop it, because Ryan's characters are truly always the moral compass of the group and tries to keep people in check. And when I took him away from you guys for half a session, oh boy, that did not go well. So
yeah,
I did it again by making him a simulacrum. But yeah, definitely consider that. Let's move on to some DM advice, shall we? Which you might not have as much expertise on, but I could certainly, talk to you about have my methods worked. So when I was running this game in the game store that Laura and her brother and her dad had just joined, and they were getting into it, in case you couldn't tell, my encounters were not all fighting instantly. I made them much more than that. The starting quest was to find a weird ogre demon that was running around the city who carried a glaive, and that glaive was the centerpiece for you guys navigating around the city, finding who you needed to find, talking to other people with glaives and figuring out it wasn't them, and then carrying on and stuff like that. That was the first hour of the session, just figuring out where to go. And
Yeah.
it involved talking to them, learning about some of the general areas, and I'd also framed a thing around the districts. As it went on, I added more quests. I'd put like a bad guy in a warehouse and basically said, he's in the warehouse, here's the layout, what are you doing? And gave you a bunch of opportunities, and kind of encouraged the roleplay side of it, because I made him look smug and like perhaps wanting a challenge or something, and enticing a little bit. And from there, roleplay did start to build naturally, just because of the decisions that you made that would have helped. I think your first proper roleplay moment, I believe, in terms of you, was that encounter with the guy in the warehouse, which we've talked about, I believe, Cole, who you messed up completely. Because you decided to go in and, like, do, I don't know, seducey shit.
Yeah. Well, being a druid, I tried to charm him, and then it worked. And then it ended, and then I did it again, and it worked. And then it ended, and I did it again, and it worked. So,
and note as well, you casted the spell, and I said the spell had been cast. I didn't suddenly say, okay, you've got him now, what are you doing with him? I just said that it had worked.
Yeah.
And gave him his reaction in speech, and then a conversation brewed from that, and then actions, and that's when roleplay happened. And from there, I tried to do a little bit more. I had an entire session that there was someone who was attending a ballroom and dance and was probably going to invade it with something, and you guys were assigned there to keep watch, and you had like an extra contact in there and everything. I literally just set up the ballroom scenario and let you guys go wild. You guys started dancing with each other to try and look inconspicuous while other people investigated. And you pulled a lot of interesting shit. And that's because I think me as a DM, I made things so open-ended. And you'll find that players naturally gravitate towards trying to roleplay their way in and out of situations.
There's sometimes now where if your internet cuts out, and we don't realise your internet cuts out, we can still be role-playing until your internet comes back on and you join again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot. Oh, our new video came out.
It did, yeah.
Good timing. But yeah, I as a DM decided I was going to put a lot of situations in that were vague enough so that it let players interpret it. And honestly, the best ways to get around those turned out to be talking and role-playing and gathering information and stuff like that. So I think that definitely egged you guys on a little bit.
Yeah.
I believe that to get your players into role-playing, just do it. I think in my Icewind Dale game, we had one player who was initially at the start of the campaign saying, can I roll persuasion to do yada yada yada? And I'd be like, sure, how do you persuade them? And then they thought for a minute and they were like, oh, okay. And then they started talking and they sounded like the good old paladin that they were. They were saying, good sir, listen, I need to talk to you about something. I have a bit of a query that, and just carried on like that. And I'm like, oh shit, okay. I mean, I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting maybe do you think that maybe we could get a discount? But no, he went full on. And it can be as simple as a DM just asking them to do it. And don't force them. Don't like say, okay, you guys can roleplay now. But certainly do bring up situations where if they're asking to just roll for something, perhaps encourage them to describe how they're doing it. If it's persuasion, ask them how their character says it. They don't even have to start talking in their character. They can just say what their character says. That's better than just asking for persuasion.
Yeah.
If you're perhaps trying to push open a door that is heavily stone and barred from the back, you could describe that, I don't know, you're taking out your battering ram and you're going to try and like jam it onto the side of the wall and then just go to town and see what happens. That's better than just saying, I'm going to use my battering ram to try and open the door. Little things like that sprinkle in a little extra spice to your D&D game that you can encourage by simply asking people how they do things. I definitely did that with you at the start. I think some of the interesting ones were you did this entirely of your own volition and then realized that you had to roleplay it afterwards, which was like casting speak with animals on things.
Yeah.
and then I'd start speaking as the animals.
And then I was
you'd
like,
be like,
oh shit, I
"Oh,
actually have
shit."
to talk now. Oh jeez.
Yeah, and I would certainly throw you for a curveball, especially when you started talking to a crazy skunk who sounded like this.
Yeah. Yeah, as that was very intimidating the first time that came around, but yeah.
Jimmy the skunk, what a lad.
Yeah.
Who got shot by a frog.
Good old good.
Yeah, it can be really as simple as just doing that. And then framing encounters around roleplay as well. Nowadays, I don't really have to do much to get you guys role-playing, but I have discovered a few extra techniques that I've been using more recently, which, Laura, you might have noticed at some point. I have made a few homebrew rules that allow for more roleplay in between characters to happen. My travel system has 3 different roles that people can pick, and if they're assigned on the same role as someone else, they can talk to the other person on that role about what they're doing or what they think of things. So, like, for example, you and Shalaris were scouting at one point and had found a weird stone clock that was kind of like standing stones in the center of a place, and you were both talking about what they might mean, and you were thinking, who do we ask, and stuff like that. Simple stuff like that got you guys talking because it was just you two, pretty much.
Yeah.
If I asked the entire group to talk amongst each other, it would be it would be James and Ryan just talking non-stop.
It would be James and Ryan.
Yeah, because some players are quieter than others. But when, you don't really have... And it sounds mean, but when you don't really have a choice to talk to anyone other than who's there, which is just you and maybe one other person, it does spur on roleplay that you might not have achieved because you're not the type of person that speaks up. And has it felt forced at all when I've done
Sometimes,
that?
yes.
Yeah, obviously, because I'm making it happen.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it is, but, you just go with it, and then you come out with different situations than you thought after doing it, so...
Yeah, I could tell there were 1 or 2 points where when I was doing it, you were like, can't be asked. Like, when you were scouting with Aerolith, and Aerolith was like, so, Patch, can you shut up? I'm trying to scout. Oh,
Yep.
Okay. Even then, that was a funny situation that we now remember. So even something just as simple as that, it's definitely had a lot of interesting conversations come out that wouldn't have previously. The same with my long rest system, where there are only 2 watches and you can split it among the entire party, meaning that like 2 or 3 people can be up at once and talking and stuff like that. So last time you guys long rested, it was you, Benmus, and Valdor, and the conversation was basically about you having your eyes back and that you could see further than those guys could, and all that, and it was like discovering stuff. And I think also Benmus got like a few opinions from you and stuff like that, and that was all because during the long rest segment I asked, what do you guys talk about? Because generally that question, and granted it forces the players to say something, you guys don't have to. You can say, I don't know, probably nothing. I'm like, sure, we'll move on, because maybe you guys don't have anything you want to say right now. But if you do, it's a good opportunity when your DM says, do you want to talk?
Yeah.
And granted, some people don't like that, but mostly I think it has created a lot more roleplay scenarios. And I mean, that's why we play, right? It's a role-playing game. You're here to play a character. So, therefore, that is a very good place to end it. Woo! We looped it all around.
Yeah, kind of.
Thank you guys all for listening. We should we announce the new thing now, right?
The new thing?
We can. Yeah.
Yeah, because technically, if I'm actually good at my job, I fix everything right, we will be able to do it this time, so I will give you the honours of announcing it.
Me? The honours? It's not like I'm running it or anything. We are going to be starting, I believe, next week,
Actually, yes, it will be on Saturday because this is uploaded on Sunday. So it's a week today, hopefully.
Yeah.
We, if anything happens, I will announce stuff on the Discord. Follow the Discord for further announcements.
In the link. In the description.
It will be in the description.
But yeah, we have decided. Me and Laura were kind of talking about it. She has recently got like a new gaming PC that she nicked, and
yes, thank you, Christopher, for letting me have your old computer.
And now can stream, and therefore, starting next week, we're going to be trying being the key word, to stream a Curse of Strahd campaign. We specifically landed on Saturdays, yeah. We specifically landed on this because, I don't know, I was thinking of running something completely different, and Laura was like, why don't we just do something that you do videos about? And I'm like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, of course.
I mean, people like the campaign videos, so why don't we just do a campaign that people like watching us talk about already?
Yeah, of course. You can see how I implement all of my advice and see if my advice actually sticks in the games that I run or not.
You can see if Jake's bullshitting when he's giving you all of his advice.
Which I am, but some of it's good. But yeah, you'll be able to see me, James, Ryan, Rich, and our mate Callum, who we haven't properly mentioned, playing in Curse of Strahd. We've already been running a couple of sessions beforehand to kind of, I don't know, fill the time before we get there. We've been running like off-screen epilogues, if you will.
Yeah.
So the characters will mostly know each other. So when you join, hopefully it'll feel a little bit more welcoming than a bunch of people who don't know each other. Yeah. I'm very excited to start this. Laura, I imagine you are as well.
Yeah, so basically what's going to happen is those guys are going to be in the game. We're going to have, well, hopefully if I've set it up right, which I hope I have, I just need to make sure everything's all good on the PC. You'll be able to see the game. It's all online, so it's on Roll20 and all that jazz. You'll be able to hear everyone, and there's notification things. You can donate if you feel like you want to donate money to us for some apparent reason.
That'd be amazing, and we would give you a big old kiss.
Yes. And you should definitely try, if you haven't subscribed, wait until the stream and then subscribe, because we've got some funny sounds on the little subscriber things and the donation things.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, and then because we're going to have a break in the middle, where if you feel like you need to go and grab a drink, or if any of the players feel like they need to go and grab a drink, go to the toilet, etc., etc. And if one of the players or Jake isn't doing anything during the break, we will be thanking donations and chatting to you guys before they get back into the game. Definitely.
And if no one's there to do it, we'll force Laura to.
Hey, I'm going to be in the chat the whole time anyway. So, if anyone has any questions, ask me, but please don't ask me any, like, proper D&D related questions, because I really don't know a lot. So
mechanics-wise, that's the stuff that I'll scroll back it for.
Yeah.
Wait, on the
Simple
break,
questions.
and then talk to you guys about.
Simple questions relating to the YouTube channel. I am so knowledgeable. D&D related stuff. I can give you some basic answers, but I really don't know a lot. So Jake will probably answer any, like, big D&D questions, or any of the other players. Because, like I say, we've got Ryan, Rich, James, and Callum in there, and yeah, I think
they've all played a while.
Yeah, so I think it'll be fun. Hopefully, you guys all enjoy the streams. If anyone has any specific time that they want the stream to, like, start, like, let me know whereabouts you're from and what time zone you're in, so we can decide, like, a good time for the stream. Because obviously most of our viewers are from America, and as you can tell, we are not from America. We are from the United Kingdom. So
We're British.
So our time zone obviously is different to most of the people in America, or all of the people in America. What am I on about?
There's some people in America with GMT +1. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, let us know what time zone you're in, and we'll try and figure out a sort of reasonable time zone for that.
Yeah.
I might end up re-uploading what we've said here because I highly doubt anyone's going to listen to this entire podcast.
Fingers crossed.
If they do, congrats on you guys because holy shit balls, this is
you
a long
deserve
episode.
another kiss from me.
Yeah. So yeah, it should be fun. I'll probably put something in the Discord about it. So if you haven't joined the Discord already, there's lots of like announcements that go on there, such as, you know, you get video updates, and if I am being bad at my job, there'll be video updates being like, hi guys, the video's gonna be late today or something. Usually we're not late on the videos because I'm not that bad at my job. But if we change schedules or anything, everything is updated in the Discord. So I highly recommend you join that. There's the Patreon as well. So Jake, I'll let you talk a little bit about the Patreon because you've updated some things now.
Yeah, I have. I've added a couple of interesting things since last we spoke. There's another tier that I've added that is 50p extra in comparison to the other one, which is really
so
not that much.
Expensive.
I feel really bad about like charging too much. But like this new tier will give you access to early Patreon stuff, and you'll also directly be able to vote on new video ideas and which one's coming out first, etc., etc. So nothing at the moment since we've already pre-recorded a lot of stuff and we're writing it out for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But once we're there, Patreon's where you'll want to go. I make a lot of homebrew on there and it's fun.
I think what we'll end up doing in the Patreon is we'll take the viewer suggestions, and then we'll have the Patreons vote on the viewer suggestions of which ones we do. So if you've joined the Patreon, I think it's £3.50 you said?
£3.50 for the new tier.
Yep. So if you join the Patreon and pay £3.50 a month, you will directly influence which videos we will be doing next. You'll get all of Jake's homebrew shenanigans, and there's a lot, trust me, there's a lot. Yeah, so joining the Patreon and all that lot, I know it's some people can't afford it, and we totally get that. So if you want to see, if you've got a video suggestion, leave it in the comments, because you never know, the patrons that do get to choose the video may choose your suggestion. So if you leave any suggestions in the comments, they will definitely be considered.
Appeal to the higher ups and you may be rewarded.
Yeah, we should probably start
everything.
rounding off this episode now.
Yeah, we did one of those, didn't we?
Yeah.
At the time of recording, we are on 249 subscribers. We are very thankful for that. And
yes, thank you,
the growth
guys.
has been immense.
It really has.
Laura was right on the mark with the estimation for this month, so good on you.
I was. Go me.
And yeah, thank you guys for listening to T&D&D. Hope to catch you at our live streams when it happens.
Yes. See you guys there.
Bye!
Bye-bye.
Go away now. Podcast done. You don't need to be here anymore. Okay.